Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another Lazy Show where we teach you AutoCAD in a way that is more productive so you can stop wasting your time. So, as always, we show up here each Sunday with a new live stream, right? A new way, a new technique to improve on your productivity, right? Working in AutoCAD. So, we're gonna start right away. I'm gonna jump to the chat and start reading some of your comments before we start today's presentation, which is gonna be awesome. We're gonna customize AutoCAD, the AutoCAD interface or ribbon or commands. We're gonna learn how to do that. So again, you can improve on your productivity. So let me jump to the chat right away. Online idea says, hey, hi, online idea. I think you're new to the live streams. If that's the case, welcome aboard, my friend. We are here each Sunday. Um, we have also Chris1234. Uh, hey, good morning. Hi, good morning. How is your day been? Says Chris. Hey, Chris. Uh, so far, so good. Very excited to be here and sharing a little bit of my knowledge, right? So, hope you are doing great, Chris. Online idea says, is there any method to create blocks automatically using dataset in Excel spreadsheet? That's a good idea, a good question. So I might have to research that and maybe do an entire live stream about that specific topic, right? How to use Excel and AutoCAD and try to um, create blocks, as you are saying, automatically. So that's such a good idea, and thank you for bringing that up. Online idea. um, Takashi says, hello, hey Takashi, I think you are also new to the live streams. If that's the case, again, welcome aboard. We are here each Sunday with a new AutoCAD live stream, all right? So, with 7 people connected live, that's awesome that you guys are here with me today, that you care about your time, right? Most of the folks here, they are already working using this program called AutoCAD, so other folks want to learn this program. So we're gonna start the presentation right now, and as always you can interrupt me with your questions, right, because we are live. um, and before I forget, um, I want to say welcome to our new Patreon, Alex. uh, Yeah, so Alex, thank you very much for becoming a new Patreon this week or this last week. So now you have the benefits of, um, let me share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about. um, so now, Alex, you just have access to all of our dynamic blocks that we created so far in the channel, right? And we have created more than 50, I believe. I already lost count, but again, Alex, you have access to all of these blogs to quickly download them. All right. And if you have questions, just let me know, Alex. And for folks who didn't know, we have a Patreon group again where we share all of our files, blocks, macro codes, AutoLisp codes, and so on, so you can quickly access them and immediately save some time in AutoCAD. All right? Okay. So let's start now with today's presentation then. Okay, let me close this and let me. Okay. All right, so let's see if people. Right, so I think we are ready to start today's presentation. As always, you can interrupt me at any time with your questions. And then by the end of the presentation, we're gonna have some time also to do a Q&A, right? To see whether you wanna talk, whether you have questions or ideas. That's your time also to participate, all right? Okay, let me start getting ready over here. Um, okay. Let's see over here. Let's start getting ready. Okay. All right. So we have the problem that we bring up today is um, when freezing layers in an XREF, right? What will happen if we want to freeze a layer that it's in a block? We can see that a problem happens that your entire XREF will disappear. And this happens because this is an XREF, and if we open that XREF, we can see that it is a block that, of course, all of the geometry inside the block are on layer 0. So that's where the issue comes. So to solve this problem, of course, we will have to play with the lay freeze settings and go back over here and start changing some of these settings from the command line, and I use the block selection and then pick again block, so that way we can go ahead and freeze individual blocks within an XREF, right? But the problem with that is that now we change our settings for the layer freeze. So what happens if I want to go ahead and freeze now maybe a layer inside a block, right? In this case, I want to freeze only this white line and not the entire block. And look what happened. My entire block will freeze. So you can see that all of these problems now have when working with the lay freeze command and changing settings. So the solution is, let me undo a couple of times. The solution that we're gonna give today is to customize our ribbon over here and include those three different settings for the freeze command. So the way we're gonna do it is customize again our ribbon. And let me show you that right away, okay? So I'm gonna use the CUI to access our customized user interface. And over here, the first thing that I'm gonna do is to avoid any problems, right? Let's say we start changing some of these commands and settings, and then we face a problem. There is no way to go back, right? If we don't have a backup or something. So the first thing that I like to do is go ahead and, since we are gonna modify our workspace, I like to duplicate this workspace, the current one, by right clicking on it and say duplicate. So once I do that, I'm gonna have a copy of drafting and annotation. That's fine. I can rename it, of course, as I wish. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. But once we have that copy, we can right click and set current again. So that means that we're gonna now modify this copy of our workspace and ribbon and tools. So if later on we don't like it or we have any problems, that won't be an issue, because at any time we can go back to the workspace that we started with and right click and say set current. All right. So once we do that, right, we are ready to go back and find or expand our ribbon, go to our panels, which are all of these panels right here on the ribbon, and we can scroll down and access some of these home panels, which again, that's the home right here, the home tab, and which have all of these different panels such as draw, modify, annotation, and so on. So the panel that I'm interested in is this layers panel. Why? Well, because over here you can see that's the that's the freeze command that I want to um, change or tweak to have three different options that I can pick to freeze. The regular freeze command, the freeze block command, and a freeze layer within a block command. So to access this, I'm gonna go and scroll down to home, and that's the layers panel. So home to the, let's see, where is it now? Layers, right there. Here we go, we found it, home layers. So that's, again, the panel that we are focusing on right now because we wanna modify the freeze command, all right? Now, in order to have like a drop down option, so I can pick between these three different um, commands for the freeze. I will have to research and find how to do that right online and all of that stuff. But let me show you the easiest way, the lazy architecto way. um, which is that AutoCAD already have this drop down feature. As you can see right here on the block panel, you can see right here that there is a triangle over here. That's the drop down feature that we're trying to emulate. So the lazy architecto way is simply find this drop down and copy that or duplicate it and then edit it, right? So I'm gonna do that. Then I'm gonna find the blog in this case, but I'm gonna expand this so I don't so I can quickly go back. So I'm gonna expand the layers first, like so, and then I'm gonna find the block panel. So home to the and block. Where is block? Here we go. This is it. That's the panel block that we were looking for, and this is the drop down feature that I want to copy. All right, so I can click on it, and that way AutoCAD will immediately expand that out for me. So over here, what I like to do is right click and simply say duplicate, right? So that way I don't have to recreate this from scratch, right? You should never do that. If you um, are a fan or a member of our community, you know that our philosophy is you should never start anything from zero or scratch. Um, so, right, once I have a duplicate of this drop down command, what I can do is drag that command all the way up by clicking and holding it. And I'm going to drag it all the way up to my home layers, right? So I'm going to go and add it right there for now on the row 1, like so, right? So that's the drop down command. Now I'm gonna rename this so that way I don't get confused. All right, so I'm gonna rename this like so, rename, and this would be the freeze, of course, the freeze command. So I'm gonna use capital letters for now just to differentiate from the rest so I don't get confused. So I know the capital letters is the one that I created. Okay, now what we need next is to try to find the exact location for the freeze command, right? Because otherwise we will add this drop down feature to a random command and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the freeze command, and AutoCAD is smart enough to find this freeze command on this customized interface, which is great. So that's the freeze command. Now, where is our freeze dropdown? It's right here. Great. That's why I rename this with capital letters so I don't get confused between both. Right? Now, um, let's see now how we can change these two, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna again select it and holding it, I'm gonna release it right about there. Okay, so now I have these two freeze command. Of course, before I do anything else, I'm gonna move this so you can see better. Okay, so now I have two freeze command. But if you expand on this, let me expand over here. One is again a drop down and the other one is not. So what I like to do is expand on this freeze drop down, right? So we can see better. And now instead of having single command over here for the attribute and multiple again for the attribute, this was copied, right? This came from the previous duplicate that we did. So I can remove this by right clicking on it and say remove and say yes, of course. Don't worry about doing this step, removing this, because the command, even though we are removing it from this area, the command will still exist right here on this command list. So don't worry about, you can again, you are seeing the command right there. It's just removing it here from the interface or the ribbon, sorry. Okay, so now I'm gonna move this freeze command and put it right down these primary commands, and that way I will have my freeze command right there, and I can quickly remove this other command. Again, doing the same procedure, right click, say remove, and yes. Now, great. So I have my freeze drop down now. Now, you can see, to kind of refresh and see the changes, you can of course click or double click over here on home, and you will see now that the freeze command has a drop down feature, which is great. Now that we somehow generated this option right here, what I like to do is we want to again duplicate the freeze command to create these three different options, right? For freezing a block, freezing a layer within a block, and then the regular freeze. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment, but I'm going to stop right here to see if you have questions so far. All right, so let me see on the chat. Let me know if you were able to follow along, or if you have a question till this point. Again, all we're trying to do is solve a common problem in AutoCAD, which is avoids changing all of these different settings when freezing objects, right? We want to quickly have access to the three different types of freezing layers: the regular freeze, freezing a block within an XREF, and then freezing an individual layer within a block. So all of that options, we can have it available quickly by creating a drop down feature on our ribbon, and we're showing you how to do that. Again, once you learn this concept, you can apply the same techniques and maybe create your own drop down for a different command, right, that you might need. So let's see. Let's see if we have comments on the chat. Otherwise, we'll continue. That means you're good. You're following along. Okay. So let's see over here. All right, so I guess we're gonna continue. Okay, so let's continue then. Okay. All right, so now let's create now a couple of commands to again change some of the settings on the freeze command. All right, so the way I'm gonna do it is go over here, and of course we can duplicate a command. So let's try that first. Let's see if that works. So I'm gonna duplicate the freeze command like so, and let's see what happened when I rename. Of course, the first freeze will be the regular freeze, right, that we all use. Now the next one will be the freeze block, right? Freeze block. So let's see, freeze block. Let's rename that. Freeze block. And of course, in order to change the settings for this freeze, we will have to go under the macro options and change that macro a little bit, all right? So the code that we need is, so after we use the the freeze command, we will have to press and enter with the semicolon, and we will have to type S to access the settings within this freeze command, and then we'll have to accept that with an enter, following by a V to select the block option. We'll have to accept that with another enter, and then we will have to say block again with the B, and finally press enter. This will freeze layers, this will freeze blocks within extras. So I'm gonna click OK and then hit apply. Now, before I continue and start adding more more commands and everything, I'm gonna do a quick test, right? Because that's a good idea. You don't want to start modifying everything, and then when you clicked OK, you realize all you did was wrong, or nothing was safe, or so on. So that's why I'm gonna stop here, and before I continue with the third command, I'm gonna click OK and quickly see what we did so far. Okay, so as you can see over here, we have now a freeze command drop down. So I'm gonna click that, and let's see, we have the regular freeze and the freeze block. So let me first change some of these settings really quick so we can test this. Okay, all right, so let's see how is this working. So if I use the regular freeze command, so this block supposed to also disappear my extras, right? If I select this block, but nope, it's not. So that means this regular freeze command is not the regular freeze, right? So when I select, so let me undo that. When I select the freeze block, that means that this block supposed to freeze only, and that's good. So we have a small problem right here. It looks like both are the same freeze command right now. So let's inspect that. That's good that we did a test before we did anything else. So let's go back to the CUI, And let's go to our ribbon panels and then home layers, right? Where is home layers? Is right here. And we can double click on our freeze drop down command. And then if we inspect this command, this is supposed to be the regular freeze. And the macro is for the block freeze. If we go over here for the block, the macro is the same for the block freeze. So that's the problem. That's where the problem is coming from. They are both using the same macro code, and that's not right. So I believe this is because we did duplicate the regular freeze command. Do you remember that? So let's try a different way then to create this freeze command, because again, if we duplicate it from here, from this customized area, you can see that the macro will be the same, and we don't want that. All right. So then what I'm gonna do is over here on the command list, I'm gonna find this freeze command. So freeze or freeze, let's see. Okay, it's right here. Layer freeze. That's the command. So let's select that. Let's see. All right. Oops. Let me fix this so you can see better. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this again, this command from the interface. I'm gonna remove it and say yes, and that's the freeze command right there. Okay, so this is the regular freeze command, and for the regular freeze command, the macro code will be the none option, right? We don't want to select a block with the B with the B character. That's not what we want. We only want to say none. So I'm gonna change the N for none over here. So that means we're changing the settings, block, and then we're saying none. So that's the regular freeze command. I'm gonna hit apply. Right now, for the next command, for the next freeze, I'm gonna select that same freeze command that we created, and I'm gonna duplicate it, but in this case I'm gonna duplicate it from this command list. So look what happened when I do that. Now I will have indeed two freeze command. All right, so that's the way to do it. Don't duplicate it here on the customized interface. Duplicate it right here under the command list. So now we can go ahead and say layer freeze and say block, right? That's what we want. And now we can change this, and instead of saying N for none, we can say B for block, right? So once we hit apply, and now we will have the layer freeze block command, and we can quickly click and drag it all the way up here and release it. And now we will have the freeze and then the freeze block. So I'm gonna also add the name over here. So I'm gonna say freeze block like so, and then hit apply. So now you can see that when I change to the regular freeze, that's the none option with the N, and when I go to the freeze block, that's the B option for freezing blocks, right? So in the same way, I'm gonna do the same procedure, duplicate this command to create my third freezing option. Duplicate, change, and this would be block layer. So over here for the macro, in this case, we wanna pick, instead of freezing the B using the B for freezing the block itself, I will need the E option for entity. This will give me the ability to freeze a layer within a block. So I can click apply, and then again the same procedure. um, Block layers over here, we can go ahead and drag it all the way up to our um, customized interface like so, and then we can go ahead and say freeze block layer. All right, so now we have the three different options for our freeze command, and it's a time for testing these options. Will those options work? Let's see. So first, the regular freeze command, using on an xref, everything's supposed to disappear, and here it is. That's the regular freeze command. So that's good. Let me undo that. Let's now freeze a block itself within an xref. Freeze block, select that, and great. The block was frozen itself. That's awesome. Now let's try to test the third option, which is freeze block within freeze layer within a block, or the layer. So I'm gonna select that, and let's say I want to freeze this layer over here within the block. And awesome, great. Here we go, guys. All of these different options now, for our quick access again. We don't have to worry about um, changing our settings, never again, and you'll be able to work quickly picking all of your different options for your freeze command. So what do you think? Let me jump to the chat now, see what do you think. Um uh, how are you planning to use this technique in your workflow? Maybe you have another command that you would like to add drop downs. Let me know on the chat. All right, so you can see that's the block that we used. This is another block again that had a layer inside that we were able to freeze, so that way maybe we can have only an outline, and then we can quickly place our objects maybe on top of those blocks. All right, okay, so let's see, let me jump to the chat now, see what you think. Maybe you have some questions or ideas. We have some time to do this Q&A now. All right, before we wrap up today's presentations, which was short, but I think was a useful technique. Again, adding drop down to your commands in your ribbon, so you can quickly have different options. All right, so let's see over here. Okay. All right, let's see. We have a comment on the chat right here. Our friend Data is asking, plotting is what? Plotting using Lisp. Can you make topic about it? Yeah, I mean that Data. Hello. Hope you're doing great, my friend. I think we already have you here on our live streams. So that Data, we already did um, plotting command. We don't need actually Lisp. We can do it with a quick macro command. So I think we already did that. Let me see. Let me see. Maybe you can see my screen. So that way you don't have to. Yeah, I'm sure we already did a lazy print macro command to print with one click that Data. but maybe it was a live stream and I didn't release the like. Yeah, I think it was a live stream that we did with our YouTube members. I believe so. Um, yeah, but um, probably I'll create a video that data, a regular video showing that command. But we already did that in our private live stream that we had. Um, yeah. So again, you don't need a Lisp. Again, a Lisp is I will only use a Lisp or an auto Lisp if I cannot create this tool with a regular macro, right? Macros are so much easier and they are within AutoCAD. And even AutoCAD now gave you access to the macro palettes. So command macros, you can see AutoCAD now is given the importance that macros deserve, and AutoCAD implemented this new command macros palette now that we can use and change macros and all of that good stuff. So here on the channel, we are a big fan of macros. We have created hundreds of macros, I believe, in so many years. But now, recently, I think on 2023, last year, AutoCAD gave us this nice palette dedicated to macros, which is awesome. So that means they realize the importance of macros, right? But again, that data says, nice, you have macro. I will look into it. Yeah, like I was saying, that data. Um, so let me see if I can, if I have it here. I think I have it here. Let me see. Oh, here we go. I didn't know I have it here because, yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah, that data. So what is it? I think you're seeing my screen, right? Okay. So the output over here, yep. So I have, or we have a print command, that data, you can see it right here. Simply means that, whenever I need to print my drawing for checking, right, to check myself and mark up, I like to print always an 11 by 17 sheet. Um, and this command with one click will give me or print that 11 by 17 sheet of my work in AutoCAD, right? So that way I can check myself. So yeah, we share this command again. I believe it is on our private live stream, but I'll create a video about it, that data. So make sure you have your bell notification on so you don't miss it, right? Otherwise, you won't get notified. All right, let's see any other questions that you want to ask before we wrap up today's live stream. So hopefully you have learned something good today. Again, how to add drop down options to your ribbon. So you saw how quickly it was to again create these different options for the freeze command, and knowing this technique you can apply it to any commands that you wish, right? So yeah, let's see if there are more comments on the chat before we wrap up today's live stream, and start thinking on our next topic, right? We don't know yet what are we gonna create, either a block, macro, um, maybe a test. I don't know. But let me see over here what you guys voted for your favorite AutoCAD series. Whoa, lazy tips. So, okay, that's interesting to know. So you guys, so let's see. So you guys voted for the lazy tips to be your favorite AutoCAD series from our channel. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I thought what was dynamic blocks, but you're saying lazy tips. Um, so for people who don't know what lazy tips are, lazy tips is a series that we have on the channel. It's right here. Lazy tips, and it's basically, as the name says, it's a some quick tips that you can quickly implement in your workflow with AutoCAD to save some time, right? We have a lot of tips right there. Uh, this is one of your favorite, I believe. 10 commands to automate your work, and they are really automatic commands, meaning with one click you can achieve multiple things quickly. So again, you don't have to create a macro. There are already commands within AutoCAD that can quickly perform tasks. Anyway, so let's see if there are more questions or comments before we wrap up today's live stream. Okay. So, question: Are you how are you planning to implement this drop-down feature in your workflow? Do you have some commands in mind, maybe that you were changing between those every time? Let me know in the chat. Okay, let's see. Where are you guys connecting from? That would be interesting to know also. I am in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States. So that's where I am right now. And I know folks are here live are from all over the world. So, all right. So, I guess we're gonna stop right here, and let me see over here. Okay, and I'm gonna go and get my breakfast because, as always, I end these live streams very hungry. All right. So, have a wonderful rest of the day, my friend, and I'll see you here next Sunday. All right.